The lamp throws a warm circle on the desk, and the offer sits inside it like a coin. Your phone is face down. The clock hums in the wall. Outside, the building's breath is slow. You look once at the numbers, once at the calendar, and then you study your pulse. This is the room with no witnesses, where your life turns quietly because you dare to hold the wheel without an audience. What you decide alone, you enforce in public. That is the cost and the crown. The last skill is solitary judgment, self-command that chooses standard, tempo, and stake. You set the bar you will not lower when heat rises. You pick a pace you can defend tomorrow. You choose what you're willing to risk and what you'll never mortgage. Let Machiavelli be a lamp, not a license. Results over theater, craft over posture. He'd remind you that appearances can open doors, but only outcomes keep them from closing. The crowd moves at crowd speed, fast, loud, brittle. Craft moves at craft speed, steady, quiet, durable. Applause buys tonight. Options buy the decade. So you breathe, reread the offer, and measure it against the standard you just chose. You imagine the week it creates and the doors it locks. You ask whether saying yes grows your options or spends them for warmth. You listen for the moment your breath evens. That is your governor returning. The decision clicks home like a latch. You write one sentence to make the pace real, one line to protect the hours it needs, and one outcome that will prove you meant it. No cynicism, just clean edges. You are not against people. You are for the work that must last. There's a single sentence that cools any hot room later. For now, hold the wheel. Tomorrow will recognize you. Judgment is not a pile of opinions. It is a way of choosing that survives pressure. Opinions scatter when rooms heat up. Judgment keeps shape. Governance is not control. Control grabs every lever. Governance selects the few that matter and holds them steady. Quiet certainty isn't stubborn ego. Ego resists to win. Certainty rests to see. This skill looks simple from outside and feels costly from within. You trade speed for accuracy, noise for signal, a quick nod for a durable yes. Consider the leader who answered everything. Every ping got a paragraph. Every meeting found them filling the air. Their calendar was a floodlight, and the week looked busy enough to applaud. Then the plot slipped. Important work stalled, because they were everywhere except inside the decision. Teams learned to wait for the next speech instead of moving. By Friday, the leader had performed authority and lost it. Think in 3 levers: aim, tempo, price. Aim is the north you choose before the room chooses you. It converts many good options into one necessary outcome. Tempo is the pace that protects judgment. How slowly you begin, how briefly you speak, where silence will fall. Price is the cost you will accept and the debt you refuse. What hours you'll spend, what risks you'll decline, what standard won't bend even when applause offers warmth. If you move more slowly than others, you may be practicing this. You're not indecisive. You're refusing to be rushed into guesses you'll fix later. Slowness here is craftsmanship. It sands edges once so they don't slice tomorrow. To learn it, you don't need theories. You need edges. Decide the aim, set the tempo, count the price, and let lesser choices exit without ceremony. Courts taught a law of access that rules calendars. We'll hold it light. He was a working official before a dangerous author, ink on his cuffs, eyes trained on how courts bend weather. He watched favors shift like wind, reputations rise on rumor, and good plans drown in etiquette. He wrote to protect agency, not to flatter princes, a field manual for keeping a hand on the tiller when Fortuna throws waves at the hull and crowds mistake spray for progress. Here is the lamp he offers. Appearances are levers. Dependence is danger. Scarcity shapes value. Let people see steadiness and you will borrow their breath. Refuse to anchor your worth to loans of praise, and you will still sail when the lender turns. Guard your minutes, and your minutes will carry weight. The rare hour concentrates judgment, the way a channel concentrates water. A small night scene. An email arrives, glittering panel, famous names, bright stage. You feel the tug to be seen. You remember the work that cannot be reversed once shipped, the proof that will remove 3 meetings for a month. You breathe, touch the standard you chose, and reply with kindness. Not this time. Then you turn to the proof and make it real. Morning will pay more respect to that artifact than a hallway's applause could buy. What is bestowed can be revoked. What is built must be bargained. The first teaches you caution. The second teaches you leverage. Appear steady, be steady, move the result. The crown on your bio is weather. The outcomes you can repeat are climate. Fortuna blows. Virtu sets the rudder and trims the sail. Again and again. Practice needs a room with no witnesses and a clock that doesn't rush. Next, a 2-minute solitary drill to mature your judgment before you reply. So the day spends you less and the work spends better. Close the door in private and the day changes shape in public. Picture water narrowed through a channel. Pressure rises, flow quickens, and stone begins to yield. Judgment works like that. When you choose standard and pace where no one is watching, your presence gains density where everyone is. People feel the banked force and stop trying to splash you into motion. They wait, they prepare, they bring facts. Carry a simple ledger. Optics hours versus leverage hours. Optics keep you photographed, instant replies, reassuring meetings, tidy updates. Leverage moves the map. One clarified aim, a scope locked cleanly, an irreversible proof. When you spend more on optics, your time puddles and evaporates. Spend on leverage and minutes carve. Scarcity of presence increases weight. If you're always available, your words arrive like drizzle. If you appear at chosen times with chosen tempo, decisions hear themselves settle. That scarcity isn't aloofness. It's stewardship, holding the weather steady long enough for truth to land without wind. Heat invites reaction. Solitary judgment lends tempo. Reaction answers the room's pulse and inherits its panic. Lending tempo replaces panic with rhythm. You breathe once, name one fact, ask one clarifying question, propose one next proof. The room borrows your metronome and becomes workable. Respect accrues not because you demanded it, but because your pace saves time. Practice this in small corridors. Before you answer, pick the standard, pick the speed, count the price. Decline broadcast access in favor of staged access. Let outcomes travel where reputation once did. Over a week, people learn the gate and stop rattling it. They arrive with substance because theater no longer grants entry. We'll test this in a conversation. Watch how pace moves the room and how quiet law becomes visible when you keep it first. Bring one breath. We'll place rails together. The thread is loud and sugared with urgency. A dozen pings bright as bait. Your thumb hovers, ready to trade the hour that would actually move the week. You mute the channel for 2 blocks on the clock, set the phone face down, and square the desk to the one thing that will exist when chatter forgets you. The room's temperature drops. Keys begin to sound like tools again. You feel tomorrow lean closer. Defer, define, deliver. First you defer with kindness. Heads down to ship a fix, reading it too. Then you define the frame where effort won't wobble. Owners. Scope. The bar that counts as done and where the artifact will live. Finally, you deliver something a calendar can respect. Link, commit, signed decision. Visible proof that does not need your voice to keep standing. Close the corridor. Open the workshop. Corridors create applause without weight. Workshops make weight without applause. People will still knock. A door teaches. They return with facts instead of flares, questions instead of pressure, responsibility instead of fog. Your name begins to mean finished, not always online. Hold the contrast in your palm. 10 small yeses. Mid-thought replies to impromptu syncs, a status performed for optics, a favor that multiplies. One irreversible asset, a design that removes 3 meetings, a brief that decides, a build that settles a month of messages. 10 leave crumbs your future self must sweep. 1 moves the map you'll walk on next week. You aren't withholding. You're concentrating force until it becomes calm. The hours you reserve become gravity, and rooms spend less of you to get more done. Keep this protocol within reach, gentle and exact, and you won't. There's a 1-sentence reset for rooms on fire soon. We'll place it on an exhale together, gently. Change your pace and the signals arrive with costumes. Quick favor? Pings knock like polite woodpeckers. A prestige invitation lands shiny and light, promising doors you'll never need to open if you keep building. Deadlines shift like sidewalks. The goalposts roll on little wheels. Your body knows the drill. Shoulders inch toward ears. Fingers hover over yes, breath turns thin. This is the first test. The world checks whether your old access policy still runs your life. Panic travels by handoff. Someone tosses you their clock and hopes your court will host the game. They speak in heat, and heat can sound like truth. Remember the model, panic transfer. Their clock is not your court. Return the timer gently and offer rails. 2 to 2:30. Send the brief. I'll bring decisions. If it truly burns, they'll bring evidence. If it only buzzes, it will quiet when your pace does not change. Then envy appears, soft as velvet friction. A colleague's smile volunteers oversight. Loop me in starts to mean slow down. Treat it as weather, not prophecy. Keep shipping irreversible proofs that make arguments unnecessary. Let artifacts, not access, carry your name. Flattery is the most comfortable test. It praises your shine and aims you away from your weight. Panels, quotes, a seat on a moving couch. Smile, then count the cost. If the applause steals the hour that builds leverage, decline with care and move 1 stone forward. Standards dissolve first in warm rooms. Here is balm for the nerves. Your slowness is craftsmanship, not cowardice. You are refusing to carve crooked because an audience clapped. The room may not understand immediately, but results teach faster than explanations. Before you answer anything important, we'll price it. Next, a 2-minute ledger that lets every yes earn its keep, starting tomorrow morning. The hallway is dim and kind, the kind of night that lets a lamp draw a circle on the table. In that circle waits a card with 1 word at the top, ledger. You sit, breathe once, and set the phone face down. The building hums as if someone else is on watch. Your shoulders drop without being told. This is not ceremony. It is maintenance for meaning. 3 moves, simple enough to keep when you're tired. Name the aim. Not 5, not 3. 1 outcome that moved an inch would make tomorrow cheaper. Write it plain as if you were telling a friend. Protect quality. Finish the brief. Decide the owner. Circle it once so your breath remembers. Price the yes. Count what the ask will truly cost. 1 deep hour, 2 meetings borrowed from a better week, the thinness you'll carry through morning. Numbers make fog honest. If the total is larger than the applause, mark a small star. Pick the smallest irreversible act, a paragraph that decides, a prototype link that settles the argument, a date anchored to the person who will keep it. Do the first 2 minutes now so momentum has a body to return to at dawn. Whisper the line the card was built to keep. Rent status. Own competence. Feel the paper's tooth, the lamp's low heat, the way the room grows quieter when you are not negotiating with it. Urgency shrinks to scale. Access returns to sense. You close the card and place it by the lamp where morning can't miss it. The door you were about to open can wait. The work you meant to finish steps forward. Take the card with you. Put it beside the kettle inside the bag on the desk at noon. Bring this ledger into the conversation test. The room is already sprinting. Slides talk about perception, headlines, possible press. Voices brighten like stage lights, and the plan grows shiny without a flaw. You feel the ledger in your pocket and the dock under your feet. One breath. Then you anchor on outcome, not optics. Fact, last release slipped 7 days. Pens pause. Metric, 7-day stick on patched users. Eyes move from faces to the table. Next proof. Lock scope to 2 features, publish a brief explaining why, and measure stick Monday. Not a speech, a rail. Your voice stays low enough for thinking to hear itself. A manager tests for heat. If we slow, we lose buzz. You mirror the fear and replace it with math. Buzz fades. Trust compounds. 2 features on time raise stick more than 3 that wobble. Someone opens the tracker. Another surfaces a dependency hiding in applause. The slide about perception looks suddenly decorative. You ask one clarifying metric. Calm as a level on wood. What's the retention target we'll defend in 6 weeks? A number lands. Ambiguity thins. The room tilts to your tempo. People exhale. Options shrink to fit the goal. A comms lead, relieved, drafts the brief in real time. Engineering names owners and dates. The runaway train becomes a schedule adults can keep. You summarize once, clean and short. Outcome reliability. Metric stick. Proof. 2 features, gate intact, note Thursday, report Monday. Heads nod because the path is human. You didn't perform authority. You spent it on rails. Respect rises not as applause but as alignment. This is the skill moving in public. Gravity belongs to steady hands. Rooms rotate around cadence they can use. Keep the breath, the metric, the proof close. We'll place it on an exhale gently. Here's the single sentence for rooms on fire. Here's the line, small enough for a pocket and strong enough for heat. Let's slow to facts and next steps. Say it like you're straightening a frame, not swinging a hammer. Portable, non-theatrical, born from solitary judgment. It doesn't accuse or defend. It organizes. Use it in stand-ups, kitchens, threads, boardrooms, where breath is thin and drama is cheap. Picture the stand-up unraveling. Updates blur. A rumor flares, a question sharpens into a jab. You breathe to the floor and place the line. Let's slow to facts and next steps. Oxygen returns. A developer names the failing tests. Another proposes a rollback behind a flag. A lad lists what can slip without breaking trust. Heat lowers because clarity doesn't compete. Decisions get real. Authority is the quiet that survives pressure. When your pulse steadies, the room borrows your rhythm. Standards feel like rails, not scolds. The sentence rides your exhale and hands the moment back to evidence and action. Say it once, then let silence do half the labor. People will fill the space with what matters. Machiavelli would approve the posture. Appear steady, be steady, move the result. Reputation lives on the surface. Outcomes anchor below. The calm you bring becomes the metronome people keep time to, and urgency remembers its seat. You protect standards without edge, and the work learns to stand without narration. Write the line where your eyes land. Top of agendas, first slide, lock screen, a card by the kettle. Use it early to prevent rescue. Use it late to salvage clarity. Repeat until others arrive pre-organized, bringing facts before friction. Repeat until your own nerves learn the short road from sting to stance. Repetition turns posture into culture, and culture into days that finish clean. From here, the room will learn your rhythm before you speak. Days begin to ask less and give more. Fewer interruptions wander. Messages wait their turn. Meetings arrive smaller, shaped by outcomes. Work deepens like a river narrowed by banks. You feel the pull instead of the splash. Mornings hold. You wake inside your time instead of chasing it. Evenings land like planes that plan their descent. You spend less explaining and more finishing. People show up with facts, not flares, because your pace taught them how to approach you. Return to the desk where the first decision was yours alone. Same lamp, same coin of an offer. same clock humming in the wall. You choose timing, not vice versa. You picture the week this yes would buy and the weeks it would sell. Then write one line to protect the hours that matter and one result that proves you meant it. Noise collapses into rails. The room remembers its purpose. Keep a gentle charge. Before you reply, touch the ledger, name the aim, price the yes, pick the smallest irreversible act. Before you decide, borrow the solitary minute that returns your weather. Before you sleep, leave 3 lines for the sunrise. Small pages, large sovereignty. The habit doesn't harden you. It clarifies and steadies the hand. You become hard to rush, easy to trust, built for long games. Rooms tilt toward your pace because it saves them time. Respect arrives without drum rolls. Peace takes the night shift. You carry less theater and more weight. When storms come, you don't imitate thunder. You trim the sail and keep the keel. Guard the governor. The governor will guard your life. If this feels like home, take a chair with the rare and the patient. Bring your breath, your ledger, and a pocket sentence for heat. We'll keep walking.